So I'm Sienna Baskin. I'm co-director of the Sex Workers Project at the Urban Justice Center, and we offer free legal and social services to sex workers and survivors of human trafficking. I've been a New Yorker for the last 8 years, and I went to City University School of Law, and I live in East Harlem. Well, my clients have a couple different kinds of interactions with the police because what they do is, many of my clients, what they do is criminalized. They are often arrested by the police, and sex workers, in my experience, have some of the highest rates of police brutality and police misconduct that I've seen. So they have a lot of negative experiences with the police, police being violent to them, physically violent, sexually violent, harassing them, just mistreating them, either while they're arresting them or at other times. My clients also have experiences with the police when they try to report crimes, when they are the victims of a crime. And unfortunately, those experiences are often pretty negative as well. Many of my clients have tried to report crimes against them and had the police not taken them seriously, or just refused to take a complaint, or mistreated them just even when they came forward as a victim. There's so many stories. Many of my clients come to me after they've had a horrible interaction with cops. One client that comes to mind was a transgender woman who was working on the street, and a police officer picked her up, and she thought he was a client. She didn't know he was a police officer. He then proceeded to violently rape her and beat her up, and he showed her his badge and said, "Well, what are you going to do? You can't tell anyone. I'm a cop." So that's one story that comes to mind, but that's just one of many. Yes, I have had clients that have had good experiences when they've gone to police to report crimes. I have a couple clients who were unfortunately sexually assaulted in the context of their work, and they went to the precinct and, in my opinion, got lucky and spoke to a really kind and compassionate police officer who helped them. One client who reported to us that the police said, "I don't care what you do for a living, no one deserves to be raped," and was really, took her complaint very seriously, and both of those cases were prosecuted. I think that where that leaves sex workers and survivors of trafficking is just not trusting the police and not seeing them as a resource. So if they do need that assistance, they don't even think to tell the police. And so many of my clients, the one I described earlier who was raped by a cop, she didn't even come to us for help with that. She thought that that was just normal, that that was the treatment that she could expect. And she said that that was just one of many times that such a thing had happened to her. So unfortunately, I think my clients get very disillusioned with the police ever being a resource to them or a help to them. Yes, absolutely. I unfortunately have seen the police lie so many times and not follow through on promises that they've made, and skirt responsibility for these kinds of incidents, that it's very hard for me to trust the police or convey to my clients that they should. Well, as an organization, we support decriminalization of prostitution. We think prostitution should no longer be a crime. I think that the fact that the police have the power to arrest sex workers also gives them a feeling of impunity when they abuse sex workers, that their victims won't come forward because they're afraid of being arrested or being more negative things happening to them. And I think that would be the biggest step towards decreasing these police abuses. Yes, there are many different kinds of police mistreatment that we see affecting our clients. There's just physical assault, that police brutality, sexual assault, harassment, verbal denigration, but also a kind of mistreatment that I think especially affects sex workers is police extorting sex from sex workers and saying, well, you have to give me free services, you have to have sex with me, and then I won't arrest you. And for some clients, the risk of arrest is so high that they succumb to this kind of threat. We also see other kinds of what we would consider just bad practices on the part of the police. And one of those is police confiscating condoms from sex workers. And this happens during an arrest or before an arrest, police saying, well, you have condoms, you must be intending to do prostitution. And it also happens just as a form of harassment, police saying, well, I'm just going to take your condoms so that you won't do sex work, or so that you will face more danger, and destroying condoms, throwing condoms away, or just confiscating them. And this obviously is a police issue, a criminal justice issue, but it's also a public health issue. We want sex workers and everyone to have access to condoms and not to be afraid to carry condoms or have as many as they need. We think it's really egregious form of abuse.